Captain Dae-ho Kim stood on the bridge of the Earth defense ship New Seoul, staring at the massive holographic display that showed the incoming message. The blue light from the alien transmission cast strange shadows across his weathered face. He had seen many things in his 30 years of service, but nothing quite like this. "Sir, the message is authenticated," reported Lieutenant Soo-jin Park from her station. "It's really from the Galactic Council." Dae-ho nodded slowly. 50 years had passed since humanity first made contact with the aliens. 50 years of careful negotiations, technology exchanges, and proving that Earth deserved a place among the stars. Now, it seemed, that place was finally being offered. The message played again on the main screen. A tall, crystalline being appeared, its body made of what looked like living glass that shifted colors as it spoke. This was Veltan, the speaker of the Galactic Council. "People of Earth," the alien's voice came through the translators, sounding almost musical. "The Galactic Council extends to you an invitation of great honor. You are asked to join us as the 13th member of our ancient alliance." Dae-ho had heard rumors about this possibility for months. Ambassador Soo-jin Park, who shared a name with his communications officer, had been working toward this goal for decades. She was Earth's representative to the Council, living on their capital world and slowly earning their trust. "This is unprecedented," whispered Dr. Haiwan Lee, the ship's xenobiologist. She had been studying alien cultures since the first contact. "In all our records, the Council has never invited a species to join. Usually, it takes hundreds of years of application and testing." The crystalline alien continued speaking. "Your species has shown remarkable adaptability and growth. The Council believes Earth would bring valuable perspectives to our alliance. Speaker Veltan will arrive personally to oversee the ceremony." That last part made everyone on the bridge freeze. Personal visits from Council speakers were almost unheard of. The last recorded visit was over 1,000 years ago, when the Helix Nebula crisis nearly destroyed 2 star systems. "Something's not right about this," muttered Commander Mi-ra Kang, the ship's tactical officer. She was known for her sharp instincts, and right now, those instincts were telling her to be careful. 3 days later, Earth's orbital stations buzzed with activity. Ships from across the galaxy had arrived for the ceremony. The Council fleet was impressive, massive vessels that looked more like floating cities than warships. Their technology was far ahead of anything Earth had developed. President Taemin Choi stood in the main conference room of Luna Station, Earth's primary diplomatic facility. Around him sat the planet's top officials, scientists, and military leaders. The weight of the decision ahead pressed down on everyone. "This is what we've worked for," President Choi said, looking around the table. "Membership in the Galactic Council means access to their technology, their trade networks, their protection. It means Earth becomes part of something bigger." Admiral Junho Shin, head of Earth's Space Forces, shifted uncomfortably. "With respect, Mr. President, it also means following their rules. Council members have to conform to their standards for everything: military, technology, even social structures." Dr. Young-Soo Han, Earth's leading physicist, leaned forward. "I've been studying their technology sharing protocols. There are some interesting restrictions. All member species use standardized designs for their ships and weapons. They say it's for compatibility, but what?" asked President Choi. "It means every council member has the same strengths and weaknesses. If someone found a way to counter their technology, it would work against all of them." The room fell silent as people considered this. Dr. Haiwan Lee spoke up from her corner. "I've been reviewing council history. There's something odd about species that declined membership invitations. What do you mean? President Choi asked. They disappear, she said simply. Not immediately, but within 10 to 15 years, there's no more contact. Their worlds go silent. The Council always explains it as natural disasters or internal conflicts, but the pattern is consistent. This news sent a chill through the room. Commander Mira Kong stood up. Are you saying the Council eliminates species that refuse to join? I'm saying the data suggests it's a possibility we should consider, Dr. Lee replied carefully. Before anyone could respond, an aide burst into the room. Mr. President, you need to see this. Our deep space sensors have detected something. The IE main display activated, showing a tactical readout of the galaxy's edge. Strange energy signatures were moving toward their region of space. The patterns were unlike anything in Earth's databases. What are we looking at? President Choi asked. Unknown, sir, the aide replied. But the energy output is massive. These objects are huge, possibly larger than planets, and they're moving with purpose. Dr. Young-Soo Han studied the data. The trajectory suggests they'll reach Council space within 6 months, maybe less. Admiral Shin stood up. Do the Council forces know about this? Sir, that's the strange part, the aide said. Our analysis suggests the Council ships have been repositioning over the past week. They're setting up defensive formations, but not where you'd expect to stop these incoming objects. Where are they positioning? President Choi demanded. Around member worlds, sir, including the approach vectors to Earth. The room erupted in concerned voices. Commander Kang slammed her hand on the table. They're not preparing to fight whatever's coming. They're preparing to control the response. At that moment, another message arrived from the Council. Speaker Veltan's crystalline form appeared again, but this time the transmission seemed urgent. President Choi, the ceremony must proceed immediately. Events in the galaxy require swift action, and Earth's membership in the Council is essential for the protection of all civilized worlds. The transmission ended abruptly. President Choi looked around the room at his advisors. Dr. Hai-Wan Lee was studying her tablet, her face pale. Mr. President, she said quietly, I just accessed more Council historical records, the pattern of disappearing species. It always happens right before major galactic threats appear, and each time the Council emerges stronger while entire civilizations vanish. You're suggesting they use non-member species as Admiral. Shin couldn't finish the sentence. As shields, Commander Kang finished grimly, or sacrifices. President Choi walked to the window, looking out at the alien fleet surrounding Earth. Beautiful ships filled with advanced technology and unknown intentions. The choice before him would determine humanity's future, but perhaps not in the way anyone had expected. Sir? His aide spoke up again. Speaker Veltan is requesting an immediate response. The signing ceremony is scheduled for tomorrow. The president turned back to his team. Whatever was coming from the galaxy's edge, Earth would face it either as a member of the Council or as an independent world. Both choices carried enormous risks, but only one allowed humanity to remain in control of its own destiny. The countdown to Earth's most important decision had begun. Dr. Young-Soo Han worked through the night in his laboratory deep beneath Seoul. The Council technology samples spread across his workbench looked innocent enough, small devices that glowed with soft blue light. But the more he studied them, the more worried he became. "Computer, run Analysis Protocol 7, he said, rubbing his tired eyes. The results appeared on his screen, confirming his fears. Every piece of Council technology shared the same fundamental flaw. The power systems, the shield generators, even the communication arrays, they all depended on a specific energy frequency that could be disrupted by a simple signal pulse. It's like they designed a master-off switch, he muttered to himself. Meanwhile, Commander Mira Kang was leading a small reconnaissance mission through the asteroid belt. Her ship, the Busan Runner, was one of Earth's newest stealth vessels. Unlike the bright, obvious Council ships, it was designed to be invisible. "Ma'am, we're approaching the coordinates," reported pilot Tae-min Yu from the cockpit. Through the view screen, they could see what their sensors had detected days earlier. Hidden behind a large asteroid was a massive Council fleet. Not the ceremonial. Ships that had come to Earth, but military vessels bristling with weapons. "Count them," Kang ordered. "Over 200 ships, ma'am. And they're not alone." The display zoomed in to show similar fleets positioned throughout the star system. Each one was hidden, positioned to control key space lanes and planetary approaches. "They're not here to protect us," Kang whispered. "They're here to control us." Back on Earth, Admiral Junho Shin was having his own disturbing discoveries. A coded transmission had been intercepted by Earth's intelligence network. It took hours to decode, but when they finally broke the encryption, the message was terrifying. The transmission was between two Council ships, discussing something called Operation Harvest. The details were vague, but the meaning was clear. The strange objects approaching from outside the galaxy were not unknown to the Council. They were expected. "Sir, you need to see this," said Intelligence Officer Bo-Ra Seo, handing him a data pad. The document outlined a pattern that had repeated throughout galactic history. Every few thousand years, the objects, called the Void Swarm in the files, would return. Each time, the Council would offer some of their member worlds as targets, buying time for the core Council species to survive. "They're planning to feed us to whatever's coming," Admiral Shin said, his voice filled with disgust. That evening, So Young-nam arrived on Earth in a small, fast ship. She was a Council ethics advisor, one of the few aliens who had opposed the membership offer from the beginning. Her species, the gentle Irani, had been Council members for 3,000 years. President Choi met her in a secure room, along with Dr. Hai-Wan Lee and Admiral Shin. So Young's appearance was shocking. Her usually bright scales were dull with stress, and her large eyes showed deep sadness. "Your people are in danger," she said without greeting. "But you probably already know that." "Tell us what you know," President Choi said gently. So Young's story was heartbreaking. Her species had once been like humans, curious, innovative, and independent. When they joined the Council, they were told to standardize their technology and military for the good of all. Over generations, they became dependent on Council systems and lost their ability to defend themselves. When the last Void Swarm came, my people were chosen to slow them down, she said, her voice breaking. Entire worlds were evacuated and left as bait. Billions died while the Council ships retreated to safety. But your species survived, Dr. Lee pointed out. Some of us did. Enough to serve the Council's needs, but we lost our homeworlds, our independence, everything that made us who we were. Now we exist only to support the Council's power. Admiral Shin leaned forward. "How many times has this happened?" 7 cycles over 15,000 years. Each time the Council survives by sacrificing others. Each time, they become stronger, while their victims disappear from history. The room fell silent as the full horror of the situation became clear. Earth was being invited to join not as an equal partner, but as the next sacrifice. Dr. Young-Soo Han's voice came over the communication system. "Mr. President, I need to report my findings immediately." Minutes later, Han burst into the room with his datapad. "I've analyzed the Council technology thoroughly. It's deliberately weakened. All of it shares the same vulnerabilities." He showed them his research. Every Council weapon system had limited power output. Their shields could only stop certain types of attacks. Their ships were fast, but fragile. It was as if someone had designed them to look impressive while being fundamentally weak. "But why?" President Choi asked. So Young answered sadly. "To make sure member species can never threaten Council leadership. Your weapons are limited, so you can't rebel. Your defenses are weak, so you depend on Council protection. And when the time comes, we're easy to abandon." Admiral Shin finished. Dr. Han continued his report. "The strange thing is, our human technology doesn't have these limitations. We developed everything independently, so we don't share the common weaknesses." This news sparked something in Commander Kang's mind. She had been listening to the reports through her communication link from the asteroid belt. "Admiral, request permission to test a theory," she said over the radio. "What do you have in mind, Commander?" "I want to try something against one of these hidden Council ships. See how they react to human tactics." The room tensed. Any aggressive action could start a war with the most powerful alliance in the galaxy. "Do it," President Choi said firmly. "But be careful." Kang's ship approached one of the Council vessels using a flight pattern no alien had ever seen before. Instead of the straight, predictable approaches Council ships used, she wove through space in random patterns, using Earth's guerrilla warfare principles adapted for space. The Council ship's targeting systems couldn't lock on to her. Their weapons, designed for the formal, honorable combat styles of Council members, were useless against Kang's unpredictable movements. "They can't hit what they don't understand," Kang reported back. "Their whole military doctrine assumes enemies will fight like they do." Dr. Young-Soo Han was studying the engagement data when he made another discovery. The Council ship's energy readings show massive confusion in their computer systems. They're not programmed to handle irregular tactics. By morning, Earth's leadership had a complete picture of their situation. The Galactic Council was not the benevolent alliance it pretended to be. It was a system designed to control and ultimately sacrifice member species to preserve the ruling elite. But Earth had advantages the Council didn't expect. Human technology was truly independent, human tactics were unpredictable, and most importantly, humans had been fighting each other for thousands of years, making them experts in warfare against intelligent opponents. President Choi made his decision. "We're going to accept Council membership," he announced, surprising everyone. "Sir?" Admiral Shin questioned. "We're going to accept, but we're not going to follow their rules. It's time the galaxy learned what happens when you try to sacrifice humans. The signing ceremony would proceed as planned, but Earth would be entering the Galactic Council not as victims, but as revolutionaries." Dr. Yoonji Bae stood in her research laboratory, surrounded by displays showing technological comparisons between Earth and Council species. The data she had discovered would change everything humanity thought about their place in the galaxy. "Computer, show analysis of innovation rates," she commanded. The holographic display revealed a startling pattern. For the past 3,000 years, technological advancement among Council species had slowed to almost nothing. Meanwhile, Earth had made more progress in the last 50 years than most council members had achieved in centuries. Why are we so different? She wondered aloud. The answer came from studying Earth's violent history. While council species had lived in enforced peace under council protection, humans had spent millennia fighting wars, competing for resources, and pushing the boundaries of what was possible. Every conflict had driven innovation. Every crisis had forced adaptation. Dr. Byung-ho Yu, working in the next lab, had made similar discoveries about human psychology. "Yoonji, look at this," he called out, sharing his data. The brain scans showed remarkable differences between humans and council species. Human neural pathways were incredibly complex, with multiple backup systems and adaptive responses. Council species showed much simpler, more stable patterns. "It's like they've been bred for compliance," Yu observed. "Their brains are wired to accept authority and avoid conflict, and ours are wired for chaos," Bei added with a grim smile. Their research was interrupted by alarms throughout the facility. General Wu Jin Lim's voice echoed through the corridors. "All personnel to battle stations. We have incoming hostiles." The Void Swarm Scout Force had arrived ahead of schedule. 3 massive ships, each the size of a small moon, dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the solar system. Their black hulls seemed to absorb light, making them look like tears in space itself. General Lim stood in the command center, watching. The tactical display. The Council fleet was already moving, but not toward the threat. Instead, they were positioning themselves between Earth and the escape routes. "They're not going to fight," observed Colonel Sang-min. "Oh, Lim's tactical advisor. They're making sure we can't run." "Then we fight alone," Lim said grimly. Earth's defense fleet was small compared to the massive alien ships, but they had advantages the enemy didn't expect. Captain Dae-ho Kim led the first strike group in the New Seoul, approaching the Void, swarm ships using unconventional tactics. Instead of the formal battle formations Council species used, Kim's ships spread out in seemingly random patterns. They attacked from multiple directions, retreated when expected to advance, and used the asteroid belt as cover in ways that confused the swarm's targeting systems. "Sir, their weapons can't track us properly," reported Lieutenant Soo-Jin Park. "They're designed to fight organized fleets, not individual ships acting independently." The human ships struck fast and hard, using modified missile systems that Dr. Young-Soo Han had designed. Instead of the standard energy weapons Council species relied on, these missiles could adapt their warheads mid-flight, changing from explosive to electromagnetic to plasma depending on what worked best against each target. One of the Void Swarm ships shuddered under the assault. Its dark hull cracked, revealing pulsing lights inside. For the first time in recorded history, a Void Swarm vessel had been damaged in direct combat. The Council fleet watched in shock as Earth's small force continued their attack. Speaker Veltan's crystalline form appeared on communication screens. Throughout the system, "Humans, cease this futile resistance. You cannot defeat the swarm. Withdraw to the designated evacuation points." General Lim's response was broadcast on all frequencies. "We don't evacuate, we fight." The battle continued. For 6 hours. Earth lost 3 ships, but the human tactics proved devastatingly effective. The Void Swarm ships, designed to overwhelm organized resistance, couldn't cope with the chaotic, unpredictable human assault. When the smoke cleared, one swarm ship was destroyed, another was crippled, and the third was retreating. The Council fleet remained frozen in place, unable to process what they had witnessed. Back on Earth, Jin-A Hong had been busy with her own mission. As Earth's newest ambassador, she had secretly contacted representatives from other council worlds, sharing the truth about the council's sacrificial policies. Her first success came with the Valani, a species that had recently lost several colony worlds to natural disasters. Ambassador Ko-1 had suspected the truth but never had proof. "Your data confirms our fears," Ko-1 told Jin-A during a secret meeting. "The Council has been using us as expendable assets." Similar conversations were happening across the galaxy. Species that had served the Council for thousands of years were learning that their loyalty had been repaid with planned obsolescence. Bo Ra-Seo, an intelligence officer who had been investigating Council operations, discovered something even more disturbing. In a hidden data vault on the Council capital world, she found complete records of the harvest operations. The files contained detailed plans for the current crisis. Earth was designated as Primary Buffer Zone Alpha. 17 other member worlds were marked for sacrifice to slow the Void Swarm advance. The core Council worlds would remain safe, while billions of beings died to buy them time. "They've been planning this for decades," CO reported to President Choi. "Every new member species was evaluated for their potential as swarm bait. The revelation sparked outrage throughout the member worlds. But the Council had prepared for this possibility. Ancient emergency protocols activated, giving the Core Council absolute authority over all member fleets and worlds. Speaker Veltan's announcement reached every inhabited planet. Due to the galactic crisis, the Council assumes direct control of all military and civilian assets. Resistance will be met with immediate termination." The message was clear. Submit to sacrifice or be destroyed by the Council itself. But the Council had made a critical error. They had assumed that exposure of their plans would lead to despair and submission, as it had in previous cycles. They didn't understand that humans respond to betrayal differently than other species. Instead of surrendering, Earth began broadcasting technical specifications for human weapons and tactics to every Council member world. Dr. Han's research on Council technology weaknesses was shared freely, along with instructions for bypassing the built-in limitations. "If they want to fight," President Choi declared in a galaxy-wide broadcast, "they'll get one. But this time, they're not fighting helpless victims. They're fighting people who know how to fight back." The response was immediate. On dozens of worlds, member species began modifying their ships and weapons using human designs. The standardized Council technology that had kept them weak was being replaced with adaptive, independent systems. The galaxy was about to experience something it hadn't seen in thousands of years, a real war fought by people with nothing left, to lose and everything to fight for. Speaker Veltan realized too late that inviting humanity into the Galactic Council had been a mistake. They had expected to gain another expendable species. Instead, they had introduced a virus of independence that was spreading throughout their carefully controlled empire. The Void Swarm was still coming, but now the Council faced a two-front war, and for the first time in their long history, they were afraid. Captain Kyung-Ho Park watched from the bridge of his ship as the rebellion began. Across 12 star systems, Council member worlds were simultaneously rising against their overlords. The careful timing had taken months to coordinate, but the human-taught tactics were working perfectly. "Sir, we're receiving confirmation signals from all Allied fleets," reported Communications Officer Min-Soo Kwon. "The revolution has begun." Park's ship, the Liberation, was leading a mixed fleet of human vessels and newly modified alien ships. The aliens had learned quickly how to adapt human technology to their own needs. What had once been weak council, standardized weapons were now deadly independent systems. On the planet Kepler 442b, the Irani people were fighting back for the first time in 3,000 years. So young Nam, who had defected to Earth, was now leading her own people in their struggle for freedom. The council garrison on their world had been overwhelmed in hours. "We remember how to fight," she broadcast to the galaxy. "We just needed someone to remind us that we could." Meanwhile, Admiral Hae-Jin Kim was implementing Earth's most daring strategy yet. Instead of waiting for the Void Swarm to reach Council, human fleets were launching preemptive strikes against their staging areas beyond the galaxy's edge. "Admiral, this is insane," protested Colonel Jamin An, one of Kim's more cautious officers. "We're attacking an enemy we don't fully understand, in territory we've never mapped." "That's exactly why it will work," Kim replied calmly. "The swarm expects us to cower behind defenses like everyone else has done. They're not prepared for us to take the fight to them." The human strike force included Captain Dae-Ho Kim's new Soul and 15 other ships equipped with the latest human innovations. Dr. Young-Soo Han had developed new weapons specifically designed to disrupt swarm coordination systems. Their first target was a massive swarm collection point, where dozens of the black ships were gathering resources from consumed star systems. The human fleet approached using techniques borrowed from Earth's ancient naval warfare, appearing from unexpected directions and hitting multiple targets simultaneously. "All ships, execute Pattern Chaos 7, Admiral Kim ordered. The human vessels scattered in all directions, each following a different attack vector. The swarm ships, which relied on collective decision-making, couldn't process the seemingly random assault. Their response was slow and poorly coordinated. Captain Kim smiled as his weapons found their targets. "Just like fighting pirates in the asteroid belt, only bigger." Back in Council space, Speaker Velton was facing his own crisis. The Core Council had gathered in emergency session on their hidden capital world, trying to understand how their perfect system had collapsed so quickly. "The humans have corrupted everything," complained Advisor Zektar, an insectoid being from the Spiral Arm colonies. "Their chaos spreads like a disease." "We should have destroyed them immediately," added Counselor Morden. "The moment they showed independence, we should have eliminated their entire species." Veltan's crystalline form shifted colors, showing his agitation. "We tried. Their defense of Earth proved they are more dangerous than we calculated. The Council had indeed attempted to destroy Earth's fleet after the first Void Swarm encounter. They had sent their most powerful warships, equipped with weapons that had defeated countless rebellions over the millennia. The human response had been devastating. Colonel Dong-Hyun Yoon, Earth's tactical AI specialist, had reprogrammed human ship computers to counter Council technology in real time. Every Council weapon had a specific counter tactic loaded into human systems. "Sir, incoming Council dreadnought," Lieutenant Soo-Jin Park had reported during that battle. "Computer, identify threat type and load appropriate response," Captain Kim had ordered. Within seconds, his ship's systems had analyzed the Council vessel and deployed exactly the right combination of jamming signals, evasive maneuvers, and targeted strikes to neutralize it. The Council's standardized technology, designed to dominate less advanced species, became a liability when facing opponents who understood its weaknesses. Now, as the rebellion spread, the Council was discovering that their ancient advantages were useless. Worse, they were learning about threats they had forgotten existed. Sun Hee Cho, Earth's xenoarchaeologist had made a discovery that changed everything. Deep in the abandoned archives of a dead council world, she found records of the first species to resist council control. "They're called the Forgotten," she reported to Earth's command center. "They refused to join the council 15,000 years ago." "And they were destroyed?" President Choi asked. "No, sir, that's the amazing part. They survived. They've been hiding in dark space, waiting for someone strong enough to stand with them." The Forgotten had spent millennia developing technology that could counter both Council and Void Swarm weapons. They had become masters of guerrilla warfare on a galactic scale, striking from hidden bases and disappearing before retaliation could come. When Earth's rebellion began, the Forgotten revealed themselves. Ancient ships emerged from dark space, offering their assistance to the human-led alliance. Their leader, calling himself simply the First, met with Admiral Kim in a secret rendezvous beyond the galactic rim. "We have waited long for someone like you," the First said through translators. His species was humanoid, but clearly very old, with technology that seemed almost magical. "Your people fight as we once did, before the Council taught the galaxy to be weak. The alliance between humans and the Forgotten gave the rebellion capabilities the Council had never imagined possible. Forgotten stealth technology made entire fleets invisible. Their weapons could punch through any shield. Most importantly, they knew the location of every secret Council base and staging area." The war reached its turning point when Changmin Ryu, Earth's strategic coordinator, proposed the ultimate gamble. Instead of fighting the Council and Void Swarm separately, he suggested turning them against each other. "The Swarm wants to consume everything," he explained to the War Council. "The Council wants to preserve their core worlds. What if we made sure the Swarm knew exactly where those core worlds are?" It was a dangerous plan. If it failed, both threats would unite against the rebellion. But intelligence officer Bo-Ra Seo had discovered something in the stolen Council files that made the risk worthwhile. "The Council has a master control system," she reported. "Every Council ship, every member world defense grid, every piece of standardized technology can be controlled from their capital world." "You're suggesting we capture the Council's command center?" Admiral Kim asked. "I'm suggesting we do something better," Ryu replied. "We let the Void Swarm capture it for us." The plan was audacious beyond belief. Human and Forgotten forces would guide the Swarm directly to the Council's hidden capital, breaking their defenses and exposing their leadership. In the chaos that followed, the rebellion would seize control of the master systems and turn the Council's own technology against them. As Fleet Admiral Seok-Jin Jang prepared for the largest space battle in galactic history, he reflected on how much had changed. 6 months ago, humanity had been a small, isolated species, grateful for any attention from the galaxy's rulers. Now they were leading a revolution that would reshape the entire galactic order. The Council's age of control was ending, and a new era of freedom was about to begin. The final battle would determine whether that new era would be led by humans and their allies, or consumed by the Void Swarm's endless hunger. Either way, the galaxy would never be the same. Fleet Admiral Seok-Jin Jang stood on the bridge of the massive battleship Incheon Victory, watching as the largest space battle in galactic history began to unfold. Around him, over 3,000 ships from dozens of species prepared for the fight that would determine the future of all intelligent life. "Admiral, all Allied fleets report ready," announced Captain Hyo-Jin Yoon from the communications station. Jang nodded, studying the tactical display. The Void Swarm's main force had finally arrived, Hundreds of planet-sized vessels accompanied by millions of smaller ships. Their black hulls absorbed light and energy, making space itself seem to die around them. But this time, they faced something they had never encountered before. The combined rebel fleet included human ships with their chaotic tactics. Forgotten. Vessels with ancient technology and newly liberated council species using modified weapons that no longer shared the old weaknesses. "Begin Operation Final Stand," Jang ordered. The battle started unlike any previous galactic conflict. Instead of the formal battle lines Council doctrine demanded, the human-led forces scattered in all directions. Each group had different objectives, different tactics, and different technologies. Captain Daeho Kim led a strike force of fast attack ships directly at the swarm's command vessels. Colonel Sang-min took his bombers through the asteroid fields, using the debris as cover. Commander Mira Kang led stealth units to attack the swarm's communication arrays, the Void Swarm, which relied on collective consciousness to coordinate. Their massive forces couldn't process the chaotic assault. Their responses became slower and more confused as different parts of their fleet received conflicting information. Meanwhile, Dr. Yan Su-Kwan was putting her most ambitious project into action. Working with both human and forgotten scientists, she had created something unprecedented. A hybrid artificial intelligence that combined human creativity with alien quantum processing power. Initiating Consciousness Disruption Protocol, she announced from her research ship Seoul Institute. The hybrid AI, which they had named simply Unity, began broadcasting a signal that penetrated the Void Swarm's collective mind. But instead of trying to destroy their consciousness, Unity offered something the Swarm had never experienced: individual thought. For millions of years, each Swarm entity had been part of a single hungry mind focused only on consumption. Unity showed them what it meant to be individuals with their own thoughts and choices. The effect was immediate and devastating. Swarm ships began breaking formation as individual entities started making their own decisions. Some continued fighting, but others stopped to consider what they were doing. A few even switched sides, turning their weapons against their former collective. "It's working," Dr. Kwan reported excitedly. "We're not destroying them. We're liberating them." The battle raged for 18 hours. Human tactical doctrine proved its worth again and again. Admiral Hae-Jin Kim's preemptive strikes had weakened the swarm's staging areas. The chaotic multi-vector assault prevented them from using their superior numbers effectively. Most importantly, the consciousness disruption was breaking their unity. But the real turning point came when the Council made their final, desperate move. Speaker Veltan activated the master control system from their hidden capital world, attempting to take direct command of every Council ship and defense platform in the galaxy. "All Council vessels, this is Emergency Protocol 0, Veltan's voice echoed across space. "Ignore all previous orders. Destroy the human fleet immediately." For a moment, it seemed like the rebellion might be crushed by their own former allies. Hundreds of Council ships that had been fighting alongside humans suddenly turned their weapons on their new friends. But Bo Rossio and her intelligence team had prepared for this. The moment the Council activated their master control system, human computer specialists led by Dong Hyun Yoon launched their own takeover attempt. "We're in," Yoon reported from his cyber warfare center, uploading liberation protocols to all Council systems. Instead of destroying the master control system, the humans reprogrammed it. Every Council ship received new orders, not from the corrupt leadership, but from the species they were supposed to serve. Across the galaxy, member worlds suddenly had direct control of their own defenses for the first time in millennia. The result was immediate rebellion on a scale that dwarfed even the current space battle. On hundreds of worlds, populations that had been controlled for thousands of years suddenly found themselves free. Council garrison forces were overwhelmed. As entire planets rose up simultaneously, in space the tide of battle turned decisively. The Void Swarm, disrupted by Unity's consciousness liberation, found themselves fighting not just the rebel fleet, but also newly independent swarm entities that had chosen to defend rather than consume. The Council fleet, cut off from their command, structure and facing rebellions on their own ships, began surrendering in massive numbers. Many Council species had never wanted to serve their leadership. They had simply had no choice. As the battle wound down, Fleet Admiral Zhang received reports from across the galaxy. The Council's capital world had been captured by a combined force of forgotten and human Marines. Speaker Veltan and the other core Council leaders were in custody. More importantly, the Void Swarm threat was ending in a way no one had expected. Instead of being destroyed, the liberated swarm entities were being integrated into the galactic community. Their vast knowledge and unique abilities were being turned toward protection rather than consumption. Dr. In-Ho Song, Earth's leading psychologist, was working with Unity to help former swarm entities adapt to individual existence. "They're not evil," he reported. "They were just trapped in a collective that couldn't see beyond its own hunger." The rehabilitation program was already showing remarkable results. Former swarm ships were being converted into exploration vessels and defensive platforms. The entities themselves were eager to make up for the destruction they had caused while part of the collective. 3 months after the final battle, the new galactic government held its first meeting. The location was symbolic: Earth's moon, representing humanity's role in the liberation. But the leadership was diverse, including representatives from every species that had gained their freedom. Minji Kang, formerly a military commander, had been elected as the first speaker of the new Galactic Alliance. Her acceptance speech was broadcast to every inhabited world. "We gather not as rulers and subjects, but as equals," she said. "The old system promised peace through control. We offer something better: growth through challenge, strength through diversity, and progress through the clash of ideas." The new Constitution, written primarily by legal scholar Jae-Hyun Bai, was radically different from the old council system. Instead of enforced standardization, it encouraged innovation. Instead of central control, it promoted local autonomy. Instead of hiding from threats, it faced them directly. Dr. Won-Sik Lim established the Galactic Innovation Institute on a former council world. Species came from across the galaxy to learn what humans called controlled conflict, competition, and challenge that drove progress without causing destruction. The key, Dr. Lim explained to his first class of alien students, is to fight ideas, not people. Compete with problems, not each other. Use conflict as a tool for growth, not destruction. The results were remarkable. Within a year, technological progress across the galaxy had accelerated beyond anything achieved in the previous 1,000 years. Species that had stagnated under council control were making breakthrough discoveries. The Void Swarm entities now, calling themselves the Awakened, contributed their own unique perspective. Their experience as a collective consciousness gave them insights into large-scale coordination that no individual species could match. Former swarm vessel Deep Thought worked with human scientists to develop new exploration technologies. Its Captain, who had chosen the name Hope after awakening to individual consciousness, became one of the galaxy's most effective diplomatic mediators. As the first anniversary of liberation approached, Ambassador Sung Ho An reflected on the changes. He was old now, one of the few humans who remembered life before first contact with the Council. "We thought joining the galaxy meant becoming like them," he told a gathering of young diplomats. "Instead, we taught them to become like themselves, independent, innovative, and free." The galaxy was no longer the sterile, controlled empire the Council had maintained. It was chaotic, challenging, and sometimes dangerous, but it was also alive with possibility in a way it hadn't been for thousands of years. Ships from dozens of species explored regions that had been forbidden under the old system. New technologies emerged from the collision of different approaches to science. Art and culture flourished as restrictions on non-standard thinking disappeared. There were still challenges. Some former Council species struggled with the transition to independence. A few swarm entities had difficulty adapting to individual existence. Border disputes arose between worlds that had competing claims to resources, but these problems were solved through negotiation, innovation, and sometimes good old-fashioned human stubbornness. The galaxy had learned that conflict could be productive when it was managed properly. Standing on the observation deck of Luna Station, President Choi watched ships.